The Taliban takeover of Afghanistan has pushed the country into a spiraling humanitarian catastrophe. Acute malnutrition is now entrenched across the country. More than half the population of the country is living under poverty, and people are relying heavily on aid services for even the most basic food commodities. Here is a report.
A year and a half into Taliban rule, and still millions of Afghans continue to be in a state of crisis. Acute malnutrition is now entrenched across the country. Threats of famine and civil unrest still loom over Afghanistan, where two-thirds of the people require humanitarian help and the crippled economy is unable to feed the bulk of the population. According to a report of Human Rights Watch, 95% households in Afghanistan have been experiencing insufficient food consumption and food insecurity. Not only that, recently the World Food Programme has revealed that a drop in donor funding could push parts of Afghanistan into starvation in 2023, adding that 9 million Afghans could be left without food aid. A huge humanitarian aid package after the Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2021, leading to foreign governments cutting development funding and imposing sanctions, helped avert a widespread famine then, but now those fears are rising again.
It would actually be 9 million people who would not receive any assistance. This month, the 4 million would receive some level of assistance, whereas 9 million people in April would not receive any assistance. When I mentioned earlier, 6 million people are at kind of the brink of famine. We wouldn't even have enough resources to serve those 6 million people to get any assistance.
The World Food Programme is currently short of $93 million for March and April, causing it to reduce rations to 4 million Afghans to 50% of what they need. Another 9 million people will lose access to food aid entirely next month if it does not receive funding commitments in coming weeks. The WFP comments are one of the first concrete signs after international officials warned that growing global emergencies and challenging economic conditions combined with Taliban restrictions on women could lead donors to pull back. In December last year, the all-male interim government ordered all foreign and domestic non-governmental organizations to suspend employing female employees, as some female employees did not wear the headscarf correctly. The Taliban's move drew widespread condemnation from Western nations and international organizations. In response to the decision, many international aid groups suspended their programs in Afghanistan, which led to devastating impact on millions of Afghans across the country, especially women and children.
I think it's very much in the back of everybody's mind, and we just need to continuously remind ourselves that humanitarian funding as well as humanitarian action does need to remain apolitical. At the end of the day, it is mainly women and children who are the most vulnerable. And if our ultimate objective is to serve them and provide assistance to women and children and those who need it the most, then that's where our objective should lie. Yes, so every possible way that we can get access for women NGO workers to be able to continue working, we are having those conversations. And there is also at times a recognition that if there is a desire for women to interact with women, then you need women, female workers to be part of that. And so while it remains a constant set of conversations, it is something that we are able to get some exceptions for.
Ever since the Taliban group seized power in Afghanistan, the country is in dire need of humanitarian assistance. The World Bank was instructed to freeze $2 billion in aid. The International Monetary Fund followed suit. Overnight, Afghanistan lost their major source of income. The same month, the Afghan central bank misplaced all of their credentials and along with it their reserves. Afghanistan owned worth around $9 billion in foreign reserves, most of which was held abroad. Neither the central bank nor the Taliban can access it since the US opted to seize it. Humanitarian assistance cannot take the place of a well-functioning economy. For that, the Taliban must reform.